Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast.
Welcome in a new episode of Fratelli Rugby Podcast. This is a quick preview of Italy-South Africa. We spoke about this game on Monday, but now the teams are out and we are here in this nice Thursday afternoon to speak all about the teams. So Mike, benvenuto. How are you?
I'm buzzing. That's what I am, mate. I am buzzing for the game. I'm so excited. How you doing? You good?
All good. We are all just back from work. So, oh my God, I still have this on. Okay, I can take it off now. I ended up my hours. So, Mike, just let's dig into the squads, and from there we have a couple of ideas we can try to develop in this quick pod. Preview pod. Let's go with our beautiful graph that you can find on Instagram and Twitter, X. And so Fischetti, Nicotera, Riccioni. The only change, the swap of the props. Riccioni for Ferrari in the starting 15. Cannone Zamboni confirmed. Vincent Zuliani and Cannoncino. Two Varney Garbisi, the Alves. Ioane, Laina, Capuazzi in the back three, and Brex Oncello, the man on Brex in the center with Captain Brex. In the bench, we have Di Bartolomeo, Spagnolo at Ferrari, as mentioned before. Ruzza still there, but seems like to be the lock option. Maybe, who knows, but for this week seems like. Favretto, double cover, lock and loose forward. Odiase, the swipe here is for Izekor. Pagello e Allan. Favretto is the other switch, but the difference is that Marin went off the team because we go for the split 6-2, not a 5-3, and usually we can sacrifice in a certain way Marin. So good, but we can sacrifice him for this. So Mike, your thoughts on the team? We mentioned who's going to change, but at the end, Quesada confirmed the same team.
Yeah, I mean, we said he likes consistency. We said that he likes low risk. He's he's an analytical man, and obviously the work that was done on the breakdown, I think, was enough to keep like the balance in the team. I'm quite excited to see sort of if the game plan is potentially going to change quite, ever so slightly. We're up against the best team in the world, but also, arguably the best coach and the coaching staff in the world as well. So they're going to have watched last game with eager eyes, and we're going to have to adapt. Otto. So I'm not shocked by this selection, but I'm hoping that we can.
So something we didn't mention on Monday about the game, but it's interesting how we switch, we change our style of play more consistently than usual. Why I'm saying this? Because Braxton usually is our second most, second receiver, the second of the first receivers for Italy. In the game against Australia, he just passed the ball 5 times. We're not that many times as a first receiver off the line out or scrum. So he play a different kind of role, something we are managing differently to move the ball. And for example, Vincent and Cannone, they had the same amount of passes than Brex in the last game, which is something we are not used to. And I think it's good to be mentioned, because if we think usually Brex move around, let's say 15%, a little bit more of all the passes during the game, in this game 5.4%. Same amount of passes of Ioane, Cannone, Vincent. Capuozzo passed the ball more than him, and then of course Varney and Garbisi. Varney 41% of the ball move let's say off 9, a little bit more because we have to add the 7% of page relo. So there is this slightly different approach for us already. Let's see how we're gonna move, or if we're gonna put Brex again in that position to unleash, let's say, the trail of 3. What we saw until now was Ioane following Garbisi, and behind those two, Capozzo doing the waves in attack. So that is going to be interesting, Mike. Riccioni from the start is another point. I wasn't expecting, to be honest, to start with Riccioni. I was trusting Ferrari to start, but in a tough game, they want the experience prop coming from the bench in the second half. And then, of course, we're going to talk about South Africa Springboks selection, which is wild. But Riccioni got also injured really early in the summer tour, this last summer tour. So we didn't see him playing against the Springboks, which is something that we're going to see for sure this game.
Yeah. I think on my from my point of view, I think what they're trying to do here is Quesada probably expected, more senior more senior cap teams from the Springboks to be on the bench just due to the physicality of the France game. So what he's tried to do is say, okay, well, let's get probably our best scrummager to come on, at the same time maybe that they bring on their bomb squad for this game. So just trying to sort of keep it, between apples and pears in terms of like what we're going to be trying to replicate on the field with them. But yeah, man, I love the consistency. I love the fact that there's that saying, if it ain't broke, don't change it. And yeah, we've got, so much to look forward to as an Italian fan. This is a free hit for our team. And, there's, I think, there's some cause to be excited about this game. Regardless of the result, we're going to learn a lot, so I'm buzzing for it.
Mike, I'm going to show you a couple of news, let's say, a couple of stats and so on for this game, but just about the teams, because we faced already South Africa twice this summer, and this is our third test. So on the right side, we can see the players that play against South Africa this summer. So we start already. Fischetti again, we mentioned him, is the number one for Quesada. Di Bartolomeo started in the summer. Nicodra will have a first start. Ferrari twice this summer. Riccioni. Then Cannone Zambonin was the locks pair for this summer, and they are going for the third test together against South Africa. Then Zuliani was there. Vincent started from the bench. Lorenzo Cannone with Vincent is switch for the second test. Varney was in the bench in the second game, but then we have always had Menoncello, Di Bartolomeo, because started from the bench, Spagnolo, number 17, and Odiase, Mike, actually. Odiase is the man that we didn't see him play other games, but he played twice against South Africa, so he's going to have his third test against South Africa, which is wild to start.
And Liner.
And Linag, of course, yes. Sorry,
yeah.
Linag too is there too. Oh, I wrote Ioane twice. I don't know why.
Hey, if only we had two Ioanes. Hey, but yes, yeah, I agree. It's one of those where I definitely feel like we can see, some consistency. Obviously, Quesada's still trying to pick out what he considers his best team. We're still trying to develop depth at the same time. Obviously, all of this is looking at 2027, and I know, we're going to be trying to sort of cause some upsets at the Six Nations and stuff. But for us, this is a great opportunity against quality opposition that, throughout this autumn, where we can, maybe experiment a little bit more next week. But this week we need to give it a good old go and see how we end up.
I didn't hear the press conference from Quesada. Probably is going to be out soon on the Federazione Italiana Rugby channel on YouTube. So we're going to take a look at that. But Rassi Erasmus already spoke about this game. And so let's dig into the South African squad. And my first question is it a 4-4 split, Mike? How are you gonna call this?
Bro, it's giving me a headache. I posted on this like or I have no idea. Is it 4-4? Is it 6-2? Is it 5-3? Someone said it was 4.5 and 3.5. I don't know what, but what I will say is this is a dangerous team, mate. Like regardless what Springboks have been rested, this is an impressive team. And you know it's really interesting what Razzie said. Razzie said they're trying to replicate World Cup conditions. They've got these team. This is the team of 33 that they brought. They're trying to sort of make it work. And you know, they said that the rotation was out of respect because of how heated the team is against France. Obviously, playing for 14 for such a long period of time, it was a physical game, and he said those players probably were unlikely to perform against us. So, out of respect, we've got this rotation, and it's going to be really interesting to see sort of how we adapt our tactics based on obviously what's been put out. And Otto, I'm sure there's a couple of talking points that you want to bring up immediately, so I'll pass the baton to you.
Absolutely. First of all, the 4-4 6-2 split. Probably we should start putting the name differently when we have hybrid player like Esteruisen, but also Quagga Smith. So it's a 4-2-2. I will call it the split in the bench in this case. But what is interesting, of course, where is the hooker? Right, where is the hooker? The hooker will be covered by Van Staden. He already trained many times. He always been an option in case needed. Also during the last World Cup, so it's something that they know. Probably we should try in the moment it's gonna happen to put a lot of pressure on his throw. I guess that is one of the things to do. So Van Staden is gonna be the hooker. Then they're gonna have Steenkamp and Vilcolo from the bench to, let's say, to cover the front row, and then of course they're gonna go with Bonventer and Zachary Porten. Really, one is gonna be the debut. Bonventer, he played well in those occasions that we saw him playing for the Springboks, and Grobbelaar, which is a really interesting player too. Then they go with a lot of physicality, of course, between Van Staden.
What an animal.
Van Staden, yes. Dixon, that comeback, is a key player for the future of the Springboks, and Colisi, the 100 Cups Colisi, the Centurion, and then Monster and Clean with Arke Snyman and Roan Norke from the bench. So they have a pretty good option, because then they can always put Esterhuizen and Quagga Smith in the loose forwards, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna move. But Mike, again, I will show you that Google Doc that we share, because sometimes we can think about this team as a team that is inexperienced to play together. There's not much cohesion. But at the end, when you see the names and when you see which games they play, they know us. Because if we mention different players here, there was Monstert, Vandenberg, Pollard, Arense, Willems, Snyman, and Smith. They were in the field against us in the 42-24 game. But there were also Van Staden, Vilcolo, that they play already against us in the two games, not only one game. And then there is also the players that were in the field in the 45-0, which is the one that much worried me, is Ethan Hoover with Kanamudi, Edwil van der Merwe again, Norje, Esteruisen, and Mani Liboch. So it's a mix of those two teams, let's say, because at the end they know us really well. But the point is how we're gonna stop the pressure that this team can put on us, because it's all about pressure. A game like that can be aerial pressure, can be breakdown pressure. They're gonna fly into the rack legally or illegally, doesn't matter, but they're gonna try to force us a lot. And probably our idea of rugby now is to put as less players possible in the breakdown, because we need numbers out if we want to keep pushing a lot with this defense. We need numbers, Mike. If not, you have just to stay in line, wait for your inside to cover, and then goes for it. But that is something we should think about for this game. In
Yeah.
defense and in attack too, of course, they're gonna put a lot of hands over and over when we need quick ball to play.
I think they're also going to try and counter rock a lot, just taking advantage of the big old bodies that they have. Just
to take a couple of players out of our let's say shape of attack, pretty similar shape, let's say, because there is always this four-man pod in the middle. Sometimes we change, they change too, so there is an adaptability around the shape. It's not always strict, kind of like it was with Crowley for us, right? We were at the beginning of that. Now we are much more fluid in the moves around. But that,
you know what I'm really excited about? I want to see how we adapt our kicking game, because that's going to be key, I think. And I think actually, like, for us, we know that we can play rugby in the right areas of the field. It's getting there, which has typically been the issue. So for me, I think that's going to be, you're talking about aerial pressure, you're talking about us, being proficient at the breakdown, but I also think we need to be accurate with our kicks. We need to be confident, and we need to execute on those, because that's going to make a massive difference. So hopefully Varney, keeps up the momentum from last week, and Garbisi, when he kicked well as well. So obviously minus the odd brain fart to the corner, but we let those ones go, eh?
Yeah, we should try to avoid those situations that sometimes happen in the games against South Africa. There is always one like a free coin for the game for them, right, to score.
Yeah.
So probably we should try to do something like that. But it's gonna be interesting. Weather seems nice in Torino for the next days, so it's gonna be interesting. The game is gonna be one of the earliest game this week at 1:40 Italy time, my 2:40, 12:40 for UK, and I think for South Africa too, right? No,
South Africa 2:40, I think.
2:40. Mike, tell me what Rassi Erasmus said in the conference, because you are you speak African, right? So you can tell us more about it.
With a little help of AP. Thank you very much, mate. It sounds like they have learned from their mistakes from the quarterfinal, like I said, where they maybe went in undercooked because they expended so much emotional and physical effort to try and sort of win that game, and they felt like they underperformed in the semi-final. So like I said, sort of more out of respect, they're planning on changing the team for us. And he was quite sort of conscientious that we're going to be targeting the breakdown. He quoted that we had 66 steal attempts at the breakdown last game, and he's like, that's a ridiculous number, obviously, for any tier 1 nation. So I fully expect that they've gonna have done their their homework there, and I'm sure Razzie being Razzie, he's gonna have come up with something to try and counter that. Maybe a little bit more pressure on Zuliani, maybe emphasizing him as a tackler, and so on and so forth. But like we said on the preview, I just hope that we adapt if that is the case, and they maybe try and neutralize some of them. Maybe some of the other players take the responsibility to try and dirty the breakdown. And we've got so many jackal threats. It's just dependent on what their role is within the week.
I like the choice that we had with Favretto, Diaz, and Ruzza to bring physicality, and in the second half, on the situation where we can try to manage the kilos, let's say, starting before the mall coming up, is the line out. So having Ruzza, having Favretto as an option in the second half, having another player that push a lot in the mall like Odiase, he does that hard working job around around the puck, but in general around every rack, is going to probably allows us to have Zuliani always focused on some other areas of the field. And Spagnolo was the player with the most turnovers won last week for us with 2. Then because between juggling and penalties against, Zuliani did his job already more than one time. But number says 1 for Zuliani, 2 for Spagnolo.
Yeah. You know what's going to be really interesting? I want to know how many line-out jumpers we're going to end the game with. That's what's really interesting for me, because obviously we know South Africa use like the line-out and other set pieces as a weapon. So it's going to be interesting to see, sort of like you said, where Ruzza or Favretto end up, maybe in the back row. And obviously, to try and sort of counteract that, it's going to be interesting to see sort of how many we're throwing up. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm optimistic in the fact that I'm sure we're going to put out a good performance. And that's all that matters. But fingers crossed.
That's all matter. I think that's all matter. Little moment, Mike, to push. Let's say to push one little thing. First of all, we are growing on YouTube, so guys, subscribe to the channel because it helps us. If you have you want to drop us a comment, we are happy to answer. We saw a few comments coming up in the last days on the channel, so we're happy for that. And I think, Mike, that's great. And guys, please keep pushing in that way. Doesn't cost money. Just support for rugby from the Italian perspective, which is always something different. Because also, just let's say, Mike, this weekend was so hard to say Italy was good against Australia, right? For some commentators.
Yeah, we had some very spiteful comments. But listen, at the end of the day, it's hard for anyone who's being completely objective to suggest that Italy didn't deserve to win last weekend. And like I said, that's now past for us. Focus is this weekend. The boys should rightfully have confidence and come in with confidence. It's a great opportunity for them just to, test where they're at in terms of, where they're truly at. As a team, we've got plenty of other players who have been waiting for their opportunity as well. And, hopefully they've trained well, they've recovered well. And we've got obviously a massive game in a brilliant stadium. Atmosphere should be absolutely bouncing. So excited to see what we can put out there. And hopefully, like I said, we throw punches ourselves, because if we're just defending, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. We need to throw counter punches, and we need to be confident in our attack and our ability to put them under pressure. So, yeah, I'm so up for this game.
Nice. So another quick thing is that Erasmus has always been a tactician. Always try to put more stuff into the game and into the players. One example was the Outfox, the software that they used to create with the Xbox joypad to move all the players and stuff. So if you guys want to use something really similar but really cool, you can use also your laptop and your phone to use it. Look at this. Go on flowfieldsports.com and use the Coach8 60% off. It's a code. Go check and then tell me. We're going to speak about this more and more time. But my God, it's going to be interesting, Mike. So nothing else to say because, Mike, we have to wait for the game to start. And for everything is Forza Italia, Forza Azzurri. And see you on Monday. We're going to be Monday night as usual.
Yes, Monday.
For the new episode of Fratelli di Rugby podcast. Mike, see you soon. See you next. And again, Forza Azzurri. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Fratelli the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast.